Hey, reviews.
Back up in here, yo.
Time for the.
Dark side.
No, I was going to say the spoiler review of Star Wars Rise of
I
Skywalker.
mean, same thing. I mean,
Eh,
dark side.
more or less. Once again, I'd like to thank everyone for subscribing and following the channel.
Follow.
We appreciate you very much.
Follow now.
Let's get into it.
I can't even believe that Rey's parents is Baby Yoda. Oh, I was supposed to say that right early? My fault. It was too early.
You said Rey's parents are Baby Yoda?
Okay.
Oh my gosh, yo. That wouldn't even make sense. Um,
It makes sense in Star Wars.
like some of the plot in this film doesn't make sense. Ultimately, Rey dons the last name of Skywalker as she has thwarted the attempt of the revived Emperor Palpatine. But there's a lot that happens to get to that. Ian, would you like to start us off?
Palpatine's alive, yo.
Yes. Through methods of the Sith.
Sith that many find unnatural.
Unnatural.
See? If Vader had listened, Vader'd still be alive. Hooked up to some weird machine, but he'd still be, well, I mean, technically that's his entire life because he's in a suit. But he'd still be alive.
Exactly. And also, Star Wars, I don't know the writing. There's still a lot of unnecessary scenes. Still trying to push political agendas in a Star Wars film. Unnecessary. Anyways, aside from all that, the simple fact that just the plot itself could have been a lot better.
I just, like I said the other one before, it is,
What's going on?
They don't like me. They don't want me to talk about it.
Hey, don't mess with our focus. There we go. Okay. Anyways, wow. Finn, more or less useless in this one, aside from the fact
I mean, he's more useful than he's been in previous movies.
useless aside from the fact that he helps shoot the main deck with their own gun. That was pretty dumb.
He finds where the good thing is because of his force sensitivity. He finds the other group of stormtroopers because of his force sensitivity.
Because of their force sensitivity too.
Yeah, whatever. Basically, they want to explain the reason why that Finn even fought Kylo Ren in the first movie.
Supposedly, in this film, they tried to say that Finn, as well as other children that were taken from villages, are force sensitive.
All the ones that fought back.
They all feel.
Yeah, all the
Her
force.
whole
Yeah.
platoon, right?
Yeah, like the force, all the force sensitive kids, I guess, that were taken and became stormtroopers, they rebelled.
It felt wrong
Yeah,
to kill just the before that. Murder was okay.
Yeah, it was wrong for that, so they stopped and kids stopped being stormtroopers. Because the force is everyone.
So stupid.
Because, like I said, they're trying to fix before. Because in the Last Jedi, they were like the force belongs to everybody. So it's going through that whole theme of we got to fix this. So okay, we'll show that the force belongs to everybody. Yep. So everyone kind of has force sensitivity.
Okay, and then here's my other thing too, right? So Kylo, Leia sacrifices herself. Yet another stupid sacrifice.
Well, I mean, that one you figured they had to do it just because
she died in
her life. So they had to kind of find a way to write her off.
Even if that was just a way to write it off, I still think it was a dumb sacrifice. But anywho, so prior to him changing over, he thinks that he has enough power to rule all. However, when he's talking to surprise cameo by Harrison Ford as Han Solo, he's like, I don't know if I'm strong enough. Okay, but before you went good as a Sith, you felt you had enough power to rule everything and destroy and dominate everybody. So why all of a sudden now are you doubting your strength?
That's it's a hawk back to Force Awakens, because that's the first. That's what he says before he kills him. Because I know what to do, but I'm not strong enough. I don't know if I'm strong enough to do it, and then that's when he kills Han Solo.
I remember that part.
But I think he's basically, it's basically he's saying it now is he's not strong enough is because he's not thinking. Before it was Is he strong enough before it become a Sith to kill his dad and then basically kill off his good side? And so now in that situation, it's the reverse of am I strong enough to kill off my dark side and go into the light? Because he knows like okay, I know what I need to do. I need to be Ben Solo, not Kylo Ren. But am I strong enough to be Ben Solo?
Yes, you are.
And that's the thing. He's like, I know what to do. Like I know I need to be on this side and not basically being Kylo Ren. But am I strong enough to be Ben Solo? And that's kind of what he's telling his dad. Like I know what I need to do. Like I know I've been on the wrong side.
Okay, that makes sense. The other part I don't like as well, where Palpatine is like, the two of you have a connection and power that I have not felt in generations. And then he doesn't even really elaborate exactly what that is, aside from the fact that it like heals, and by stealing their
But I mean, they kind of that's
energy,
the only thing I think they actually
get healed.
I think that's something they've actually shown throughout all the movies is the fact that like there are two connections where they could literally see each other and kind of see their surroundings and basically kind of be way in tune, which hasn't happened in any of the Star Wars movies. Right. Because it's just saying the connection between the two of them is so big that like no matter where they're at in space, they can literally like they can basically still feel each other. Because where most times, like you see Luke or Vader, and they'd be like, "Oh, they have to be in close proximity, and I can feel your presence." Whereas them, they can be across the galaxy, and I can still tap into them because like their connection is so much stronger. And so that's kind of what they're going through. Like, okay, you guys' bond is way bigger than anybody that's ever had like a force connection. Because normally when you have connection with people, you're like, "Oh, I can feel their presence." Like they don't need to be.
They're somewhere on this ship.
Yeah, they don't need to be somewhere like I felt a presence that's like when Obi-Wan felt Vader and he's like I felt the presence, where they don't need to do that, they just automatically tune into each other. And it's kind of like that's the Emperor saying like, hey, your guys' bond is like ridiculous. Like that's why they're able to pass objects.
It's like an unwanted video call.
Yeah, it's like they're able to pass objects through the Force because their bond's so strong.
Yeah. So, again, I still thought that needed more explanation, or that we could have had a little bit more background, or they could have took a little bit more time just to go over it specifically what he was talking about. Because in his Sith chamber, where there's all like the skulls of like the previous dead Sith or whatever, and then they pop up and they're all the hoods everywhere. Kind of cool. But it's anticlimactic because
I'm like, that's the thing too. I'm like, you have like an arena full of followers that when Kylo Ren or Ben is fighting and Rey's fighting, that they're all just kind of like.
I think it was supposed to just be like they're there in force presence, not actually there. Because those guys that were there, right, is the ones that like Rey fights or whatever.
Well, you have the Emperor guards, the Knights of Ren. And those are the ones that were there.
Which I will say, I liked the fight with the Knights of Ren and Kylo because they're whooping him, and then he gets a saber, and then he's like, "Ah, yeah, I'm about to get."
They're like, "Oh, this fool ain't got nothing," and then he turns a lightsaber, like, "Oh, well, go ahead and back on up, cause it's like we might about to die."
So I thought that was good. I like that.
And that's what they do in the opening. They show like, hey, his actual fighting ability at the beginning, where he basically just goes through a platoon and just
those are the only two fight scenes that I personally really enjoy. I enjoy like half of the Kylo Ren and Rey fight, not much of it, but I like the first Kylo Ren scene where he's like on whatever planet that is, where he's massacring those fools, and then I like when he fights the Knights of Ren. Aside from that, the final battle also again anticlimactic, very not worth it at all whatsoever. To your point, like you're saying, she basically does a Mace Windu, and uses her lightsabers to
block
reflect.
Which I always think is weird. If the lightsaber can block like force lightning, then what's the point of force lightning? Like if it literally blocks it in every situation. A lightsaber blocks force lightning.
Maybe, just maybe, they're infusing their lightsaber with the force energy, and that's keeping it at bay. Possibly, don't know. Someone out there maybe who's more into the books or something can let us know in the comment section, but that's my only guess. What else? Poe's little or he becomes a general, and then he's like, "Hey, buddy, you should be my co-general."
Yeah.
And they just like bro it out in space as co-generals of the resistance.
Yes. Because they're the new generation, and the new generation. I mean, at least they announced why they were generals. I mean, hell, Han just showed up and became a general. Like, hey, General
True.
Solo. Hey, General Curtis.
I'm like, if what's his name? If Lando's back, I'm like, and Lando is technically a general. Like, shouldn't he have taken over the ranks, or couldn't he have like shown them the ropes first?
I don't think Lando ever wanted that responsibility.
That's probably true.
And so I just think that he's never fully wanted that. I'm in control. Like I can go out and do missions and do things like that, but I don't want to be the person pulling all the strings.
On top of that, how many people do you think it would have taken to create all those damn Star Destroyers that were hidden on that planet, yo?
And but you gotta think about it, like that's been made for decades. So it's like since Return of the Jedi, they have been basically making those Star Destroyers.
I know. With planet killers attached.
Yes.
That was crazy.
And
yeah, the part where he shoots.
Which I thought was kind of weird that they all have planet killers, but they only sent one off into space.
Right.
And then just waited for all of them to just sit there.
Like, it was an initial warning. You would have thought, realistically, they would have had a bunch already dispatched.
Yeah, like
waiting to
you
shoot
took
them.
one off of the atmosphere and you just left all the rest of them sitting in the atmosphere where they're vulnerable.
Yeah.
As opposed to, I mean, the Emperor last time hid them behind a planet. And he knew they were coming because he's like, okay, we're gonna blow up a planet. It's gonna bring her. She's gonna bring everybody else. So we're gonna be ready for it. And then when she shows up, they're not ready for it.
And then also the fact that Palpatine mentions earlier on when Kylo finally finds him that, oh, all those voices in your head, that was me.
Yes.
I created Snoke. And then you see like a Snoke clone basically.
Clone thing.
And I'm like, where did it even come from?
Yeah, so he basically was pulling the strings of Snoke. You've been hearing Vader in your head, that's me. Everything that you've been hearing.
Pretty much everything that has been orchestrated thus far in the technically Force Awakens, Last Jedi.
Which I think
kind of orchestrated.
Which I kind of think that's what pulled him away from the dark side. When the Emperor goes, hey, it's all been me, and I think he was more trying to fill his grandfather's shoes. And he realizes like it's not my grandfather, that's you.
Peep this. Okay. Is it also possible he's the one that gave Luke that vision and it wasn't real?
Which
about him being turning it into the dark side.
It might have been.
Right? So like that is, you just made me think about that right now when you were saying that. I was like, oh, what if he did that? Like, what if he orchestrated all that for Kylo to be evil?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, because obviously, let's be real. If you have no ill will towards anybody and you look up and you're like, Uncle, are you about to kill me?
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna have a little bit of bias. You're gonna get mad.
Okay.
So
and
that's
it kind of puts him where, and I think that's the way it is. He thought he was, hey, my grandfather went to the dark side. There's something about the dark side. I idolize my grandfather. So let's go there, and I want to be better than he was. But then you come across the Emperor, and you're like, oh, I've just been manipulated to go here.
Yep.
Either I want to be my own thing separate from him, or I need to go and fight him.
Yep. And then just like Rey said too, right? That she said she wanted to take his hand, but she wanted to take Ben's hand, not Kylo's hand.
Yes.
So.
And that's what I thought. He kept thinking, I'm going to bring her to the dark side. And she's like, no, I'm trying to bring you to the light. And it's just understanding like, hey, you're not the evil guy that you think you are.
Yeah.
And that's why she kept saying, like, you could have killed me, like, multiple times. Like, why haven't you killed me?
Oh, yeah.
It's like even their fight right there where she's, they're fighting each other and he has the upper hand. He keeps kind of just like, are you going to get up? Or, like he's going to keep giving her opportunity. He can't kill her. Because he has that connection. That's the thing. They have that connection.
She stabs him.
So then she stabs him. right in the rib area.
Yeah, I still think that was kind of weird. Oh, man. Anything else you want to say? Like, I think anything else, I'll end up dragging this out way longer than what it needs to be.
I mean, they fake killed Chewie.
Well, that was, yeah. I mean, you kind of know that.
Hey, some people thought Chewie died.
If you're paying attention, you see that there's two ships, and it's very likely that one took off without the other.
Well, I mean, it happens.
I do like the surprise of her using Force Lightning. That was cool.
Yes, he was trying to say that she's pulling on her dark side, and it's like, oh, yeah,
That was
that's why
dope.
the light.
I like that.
The C-3PO getting wiped and the whole Sith
C-3PO, my boy.
getting his because he can read it, but he's not allowed to translate
The
Sith
Sith.
language,
Yeah.
so they have to like do a risky
The
procedure.
fact that Rey like flies there and then sends the mapped coordinates on how she got there with that size of ship is funny that every ship after that follows the exact same coordinates when there's no way that would have been possible because some of those ships are huge.
I mean, I guess, but I mean, so the same thing is the would have to do that same pattern to get out.
True.
So if
Or
there's
maybe they're going a different route. Who knows?
maybe I don't. That's the thing too. Is like you have a fleet that never leaves the planet.
Do we know, or do you have any idea what that huge square thing over that was? What was that?
That's where they do their science. I don't know because they went down. I don't know.
That's
Yeah,
where they
it was
did their
it's
science.
basically
I don't
just
know.
yeah, it was just hovering over the planet,
Yeah,
and then
it
you
was
go
weird,
in there
right?
and they go down
It's like a
instead
big,
of going.
big cube, and then they're just like.
But then it had to have. I think it might have been like over the arena because he opens up the arena to see the thing. So I think that's like the Coliseum that was looking over where everyone was sitting.
Okay.
Because if it's up there and it's there, that's where all the Sith that was sitting in that Coliseum would be.
No, they were like in the back part, right? Because
Yeah.
it was.
But I mean, because
underground
he
still.
opens apart, so he's able to see out into that's where he shoots his lightning out.
Yeah.
So it has to open. So it would have opened through there because they go straight down through.
But all the Sith are like level with where they're at.
Well, I don't know.
All the fake ones. But anyways, we don't know really what that was. If you guys know what it is, let us know in the comment
something
section.
for it to look cool when you look at it from a distance.
Also, before I finish, why in the F was Luke way more useful dead than alive? Screw you, writers.
Well, once again, like I said, two different writers.
That's what I said. Screw you, writers.
And that's what it is. You have, and that's the thing. That's the difference we have.
Mm-hmm.
One person. The first 6 was one vision from one person, and you have this one where it's 2 visions through 3 movies.
Yeah.
And you have a vision change in the middle. So now I gotta correct to kind of get back to what I saw at the beginning of 1 to go back and correct it for 3. And that's the issue with it, the inconsistencies and the plot holes and the stuff in Star Wars right now is because he didn't get a chance to like, oh, I want to formulate my vision. That's how my vision goes. Let me finish my vision because, and I part of that I kind of blame Disney because you were impatient to let him finish.
I mean, you pretty much have to, right?
Yeah, because like you could have just basically said, okay, I understand you had a commitment to do, I think it was like the second Star Trek movie or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Just wait till he finishes. And then let him finish the second movie as opposed to, yeah, it's delayed a little longer than you wanted, but it's going to be a consistent story.
That would have been better, I think, personally.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, you knew he already did this when you signed him on. So how is it now a surprise while you're in producing and directing? So now it's like, okay, so where do you go forward? Because now Rey ends. She's technically a Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
Their double lightsaber. And I had a thing, too, that was like, if they went forward,
well, yellow,
gold, yellow.
So
gold.
So you think it's gonna be a dual-sided one?
Oh, it's dual. I kind of saw it. Like the bottom part is dual.
Yeah.
Dual.
So I think it will be as well the way it kind of looks. Anyways, they don't give us a perfect view, but I definitely think it will.
It makes more sense the way she fights that it would be because she's more that staff fighter.
Yeah, and she uses a staff.
And
well, that's how she was trained up.
Yeah, so that would make more sense that she would have a staff-like dual lightsaber, and that's even when you see like the her Sith side, it was the switchblade dual because that's a better fighting for her.
For her, yeah, better fighting style, yeah, for sure.
Now it wouldn't be a switchblade, but it would still be a dual one that she could use to fight. And so now the thing is too, and I also feel because now if they were gonna go forward, I guarantee they would show Finn being trained.
Right. Because
they would sit there and say, hey, he's now force sensitive.
And possibly Poe.
I don't know if they showed enough for Poe.
Because if you noticed that so that was interesting that supposedly he was a spice runner.
Yeah.
Right? And that somehow he's just that good of a pilot. It's kind of like with Han, right? Like Han wasn't into all the Force, but he was like had reflexes that would be kind of emulating someone that was in tune with it.
Yeah, but they never went there
at
with
some
Finn.
point.
I don't think he'd go there, and I don't think they'd go there. I think it almost would be she would train Finn, and then those other like stormtrooper kids that got away would kind of be like another group that like how Luke trained them.
Like Padawans.
Yeah, it would be them, and they would just basically kind of use them as like
That could be
the new.
that'd be interesting plot to see.
Which I was
who would be the Sith rival?
And that's the thing I always have a problem with when they talk about balance in the Force, and I go, oh, it's all about balance, it's all about balance. But then you kill one side off completely. So how is that balance?
Or did they?
If you literally, your goal is to kill off Sith.
What if Kylo Ren had a secret apprentice?
I mean, you could have, but
Galaxy Killer.
nah. I mean, it's just, yeah, I mean, there's probably, just because the way it is, there's going to be a Sith somewhere in the galaxy, in a universe that's going to come up and come to power, yes. Yeah. But it's just the fact that they always talk about balance.
The child.
But they always try and kill each other off. So like you're basically fighting balance the entire time. So
yeah, I think it definitely will be interesting to see what they decide to do for a spinoff. But from what I heard, none of the actors from this film said they actually are signed on to.
Well, because they're on hold now because they were supposed to do the Game of Thrones guys Star Wars, but that's been stopped because they're doing a Netflix series. So they don't know if they're going to do that. Then there's also, they might do Knights of the Old Republic.
I see.
And then The Last Jedi writer Johnson is supposed to get his own trilogy.
We'll see.
So, but they put that on hold after everyone saw Last Jedi, and they're like, you might not rush your trilogy out.
Right? Exactly.
But that's what they're saying. They still have him on for a trilogy. They still have, like, I think Knights of the Old Republic. I think they canceled Boba Fett, and they probably went more with The Mandalorian instead of doing Boba Fett, and then where are you going with The Mandalorian? Because you can sit there and do that for a while, and then... Plus, I mean, you have Disney Plus. Are they going to lean more towards Star Wars small
TV
screen
shows?
Yeah, small screen and TV shows.
Or...
And then bring them out. Even though the dude that plays Finn is like, I'm not doing a TV show. I'm like, you say that now to Disney back up that truck of money to your house, and then you'd be like, so this is the new Finn show, and
right, exactly.
We're gonna do the first 10 episodes.
Anything else you want to add?
I think we covered a lot of it. There's still a lot more we can cover, but we got a lot of it there.
That's it for me. We could probably do an Easter egg video going forward, maybe do a new one for that. But again, 3-star for both of us, 2.5 for him. If I'm being super nice, maybe a 3.5.
I mean, if you take the average, it's a 3.
It's a 3. Easily a 3. Until the next video, everyone, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for all the love, support, comments, likes, and shares that you guys have been giving us and helping the channel grow. Until the next time.
Share it to everybody.
Peace.
Peace.